Chief Butler, Council President Lantry, Chief Smith, Sheriff Bostrom, members of our community, and members of our graduating class of 2011B. First of all, let me congratulate you and welcome you to the City of St. Paul and the family of St. Paul. Some of you are already members of the family. There's not just one proud chief here today. I know that there's two proud chiefs here today. But we're very excited to welcome you to the City of St. Paul and to this incredible department that we're so proud of. We've made a lot of investments in the City of St. Paul and in the fire department over the last many years. While other cities were cutting their departments and laying off firefighters, we were adding staff. While other departments were letting their equipment deteriorate, we were upgrading our staff. We built new fire stations, and we've invested in the personnel and invested in the training. And you've just gone through some of the hardest training that anybody will ever go through. You've gone through a lot of tough weeks together. You've gone through a lot of tough times. You've got a lot of sore muscles, a few bruises, and the stresses and strains of a training class. But we do that because we want the best department. We do that because we want the best firefighters. We want all of you to be prepared to step onto one of those rigs, to be prepared to step into the field, to be able to be prepared to go into any situation and have the training that you need, have the experiences that you need, have the folks by your side that you need to do the job. We depend on you. We depend on keeping our response times low, but not only that, when you get there, knowing exactly what to do, knowing exactly how to fight that fire or how to save a person's life. We've had a great department. We continue to do so. We've had great leadership under Chief Butler, but most importantly, you have a community that appreciates what you do, that is very supportive of the department, and will always continue to do that. I always like to joke that one of the best things that, one of the funnest things was I had a fire department shirt on one day, a t-shirt, and I walked into a grocery store, and I've never had people like me as much in my entire life as when I walked into that grocery store with that shirt on. That's because this community values and treasures the work that you put in, the risks that you take, how hard it is on your families, how hard it is on you personally. But you're part of a special group right now. You're part of the St. Paul Fire Department. You're part of the City of St. Paul. You're part of this family. It's a great time of year to step back and to celebrate as we head into the holidays, head into Christmas and into the new year. 2012 is going to be a great year for you because it will be the first full year that you put on the department. But it will be an opportunity for all of you to continue your growth, to continue your training, and continue to be the best. I truly believe that. You became part of the class because you're the best. You graduated from the class because you're the best. You are part of the St. Paul Fire Department because you're the best. You're part of our family. Welcome and congratulations.
I've got a couple letters to read today. I'll try to smatter them throughout the presentations. Chief Butler, dear friends, thank you for the kind invitation to join you for the graduation of Firefighter Academy Class 2011B. Unfortunately, my schedule prevents me from being with you in person today. However, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the 9 individuals graduating from the Firefighter Academy. To each graduate, I commend you on your decision to serve as a first responder, EMT, or paramedic in our capital city. As a trained member of the St. Paul Fire Department, you are joining a dedicated team of professionals who sees every opportunity to provide prompt and compassionate service to ensure the well-being and safety of our community. In the United States Senate, I've worked to ensure Minnesota has state-of-the-art resources essential to remain on the cutting edge of providing health, safety, and emergency services. I will continue working hard to provide our communities the support they need to retain quality services. Thank you again for the invitation and congratulations on completing the rigorous training necessary to become a St. Paul firefighter. In addition, I want to thank all the firefighters and emergency responders who are committed to protecting our community every day, even at the risk of their own safety. I am very proud of our public safety personnel and honored to represent you in the United States Senate. Sincerely, Senator Amy Klobuchar. At this time, it's my privilege to introduce the City of St. Paul's Council President, Kathy Lantry.
Good afternoon and welcome. I am the daughter, or the granddaughter, of a St. Paul firefighter. Most people in the city of St. Paul actually know that little fun fact about me because I tell people all the time. But what they might not know is why I tell them. And that's because there is a great sense of pride in saying that my grandfather was a St. Paul firefighter. I actually never knew my grandfather. It's ironic, this December is the 50th anniversary of his passing. And although I never knew him, I certainly was taught to be proud of his accomplishments as a St. Paul firefighter. Everyone in the family knew what Grandpa Louie did, long after he was gone. And so we know that we ask a lot of you, in fact, sometimes too much. It is our job as elected officials to make sure that you're well-trained and well-equipped. As Mayor Coleman said, I think we've done an excellent job of that. And of course, there are always more that we can do. And our hope is that you will make the City of St. Paul a career, the fire department a career, that you will advance your training, your education. Maybe someday you'll be chief of the St. Paul Fire Department, which is something that we hope for all folks. But more importantly, we hope that one day your descendants can tell everyone they meet that their grandfather or grandmother was a St. Paul firefighter, and say it with the same pride that I am saying it today. So congratulations to all of you and good luck in your career.
Another letter. Dear Chief Butler and Academy graduates, I want to personally congratulate the St. Paul Firefighter Academy's 2011 graduating class. Thank you for your commitment to public service. I had the opportunity earlier this year to tour Engine House 1 and meet with St. Paul firefighters, and I was very impressed by their professionalism and commitment to service. I am proud that our firefighters provide state-of-the-art safety and emergency response. Most of all, I am grateful to the fire department for its tireless efforts to protect Minnesotans. I look forward to hearing about your great efforts as St. Paul's newest firefighters. Please do not hesitate to contact my office if I can ever be of any assistance to you. Again, congratulations to the 2011 graduating class and best wishes for success and safety in the years to come. Sincerely, Senator Al Franken. It is my pleasure now to invite Chief Tim Butler to the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a cause for celebration today. Not only is it the holiday season, we're going to give the recruits here and their training staff the weekend off, just the weekend. But it's also the first time them and the training staff have been fully clothed, dry, warm, and in a clean uniform in about the last 13 weeks. So thank you again for being here today to celebrate with our fire department family and these trainees as they transition from civilian to public servant, from recruit and rookie to a firefighter. The St. Paul Fire Department was formed in November of 1855 and started with men who were specifically and specially selected for their physical strength, their mental toughness, and their willingness to serve others. And over the ensuing decades, these men became renowned for their extreme bravery, their compassion to others, and their willingness to serve the citizens of St. Paul. Bravery, compassion, and a commitment to serve others are the enduring core values of our department and the American Fire Service. The men and women of the class of 2011 B Bravo were also chosen for their physical strength, their mental toughness, and their willingness to serve others. Over 2,500 people tested in the 2010 firefighter entrance exam. Only a handful received job offers from the city, and regretfully, not all of them made it through the 14-week academy. The 9 men and women that you see before you today are the very best of the best. They're tough, they're smart, they're driven to excel and committed to serve. I want to specifically recognize 3 groups of people who are critical to bringing these recruits before us today. First and foremost, I want to thank Mayor Chris Coleman, Council President Kathy Lantry, and the members of the City Council for making public safety a top priority. Because of you, we have this Academy class graduating today, and the hiring process is already underway to fill 16 more vacancies in the fire department. All of you have helped us ensure that our crews are fully staffed, fully equipped, and fully trained so we can best serve the citizens of the city and keep our members safe. So thank you for your enduring support to this department. The second group I want to recognize are the families of the firefighter recruits in this class. If you have a family member, if you are the family member of one of these recruits, would you please rise and be recognized? These family members have made significant sacrifices to support their firefighter throughout the academy. They picked up the lion's share of the housework, became single parents at times. They provided invaluable physical and emotional support for the recruits. So families, I thank you for your enduring service and support, and let all of us in our fire department family remember that families also serve. Finally, I want to profoundly thank the St. Paul Training Division and all the outside partners to help bring and pass on the values of our service and the shaping of the bodies, hearts, and the minds of the class of 2011 B Bravo. Deputy Chief of Training Ken Gilliam, Fire Training Officer Joe Blank, Fire Captains Dan Hendricks, Rick Chido, and Jerry Dino, and Training Assistant Clarence Hawkins. These men ran, crawled, climbed, chopped, lifted, hauled, humped, hosed, sucked air, got dirty, smelly, smoky, wet, frozen, and boiled right alongside the men and women of the class. So gentlemen, thank you for your commitment to this class in our department, and thank you for stopping just short of killing anyone in the academy. And now the class of 2011 B Bravo, I have some comments for you. Today you're being promoted from firefighter trainee to firefighter. As you transition from a recruit to firefighter, I urge you to remember the core values of our organization: bravery, compassion, commitment to serve others. Those values lie at the very foundation of who we are and what we do. When an 8-year-old kid sees you in your firefighter uniform, that child should see those values reflected in your actions, your words, and your attitude. In fact, the positive, enthusiastic expression of bravery, compassion, and commitment to serve others is what makes that 8-year-old kid want to be a firefighter. You will find that we are the good guys, well respected and loved by the residents that we serve, but only if we live up to the trust they bestow on us. The citizens of St. Paul will be entrusting you with their lives, their prized possessions and mementos of their lifetime, their safety, their sense of dignity. They also investigate significant amount of tax dollars to ensuring that you're fully equipped, fully trained, and fully staffed to do your job. Never forget the trust or the investment that they've made in you, and never betray it. I know in a 14-week academy, your instructors didn't cover all the situations that you're going to encounter as you carry out your duties. So I'm going to provide you with 6 standing orders to help you guide your actions and attitudes as firefighters. These are the 6 rules you follow in all situations, in all times. First and foremost, always remember and look at your actions and evaluate yourself through the eyes of the citizens. They are the final arbitrators of whether or not our actions are appropriate and whether our service is worth the investment. Put yourself in their shoes and put them first in all situations. Second of all, be problem solvers in the community. You're the pointed end of the spear. You are where the rubber meets the road. So take your skills and your training and that big truck full of equipment and bring value to the citizens every day, not just the day they're having a fire or a medical emergency. There's a lot of talk out there about relevance in the fire service today. And we are a superb insurance program for everybody in the city. But that might not be enough in times where citizens are canceling their insurance for health and life and property. So we remain relevant only if we do more than our traditional role of responding to their life-threatening crisis. We have to reach out and help solve their problems in their daily lives. Third, make your station a safe haven in the neighborhood. Our stations have been a place for neighbors to gather and seek advice and run for help since 1855. So be open to your neighbors and welcome them into your stations, and let them see that you and your crew are the neighborhood clearinghouse for help, for advice, and safe company. Fourth, be courageous, physically and morally. You're not afraid to charge in and attack a fire. I would expect that you use that same courage and bold action to step in and dispel a rumor, to resolve differences, to correct a wrong, to bring justice and peace to your stations and your neighborhood. Number 5, don't just deliver a service, build a relationship. Anytime you interact with a citizen, don't be in such a rush to get back into the station and ready for the next call. Take the time to care for the needs of the people that you interact with, express your sympathy for their loss, and empathize with their situation. The relationships that you build with residents, the business owners, and the community block clubs are what makes us the good guys. Finally, take ground and lead the transformation. Simply put, I want every member of our department to use the resources and training they've been given, the unique perspectives they have, and their own initiative and creativity to solve the problems facing our community and our department. We all can make a difference if we're willing to go the extra mile for our citizens and think outside the box when we look for creative ways to solve the challenges of the future. In a few minutes, you'll be awarded the coveted firefighter badge, the symbol of authority I'm investing in you to carry out those 6 standing orders. Wear that badge with pride. I'm wearing my chief's badge on my jacket today, but underneath on my shirt, I wear my firefighter's badge because we're all in this together. We're all one family, and we're all being watched by those 8-year-old firefighters to be. We're living examples of what's right in our country and what our society needs the most. We're walking examples of those enduring values embodied by the St. Paul firefighters since 1855. Class of 2011 B Bravo, congratulations on your successful completion in the Recruit Academy. Welcome to the ranks of public servant and St. Paul firefighter.
I'm going to try and say it a little simpler. A few years ago, while working over at Regions EMS, I was standing next to an EMT firefighter and his paramedic captain. I was wearing my St. Paul fire shirt, much like Mayor Coleman, and I noticed that the EMT firefighter was wearing a shirt with a paramedic rocker panel on it. I think he probably bought it used from another firefighter. And I said, you know, you're not a paramedic. And immediately his paramedic captain snapped back at me, well, you're not a firefighter. Of course, he was right. I'm not a firefighter. I'm going to address my remarks today to all the other non-firefighters in this room. I'm going to tell you what I've learned about firefighters over the years. And basically that is that firefighters aren't wired like you and I are. In the musical My Fair Lady, Alan Jane Lerner, in one of his many great songs from that great work, wrote the following: "The Lord above made man to help his neighbor, but with a little bit of luck, when he comes around, you won't be home." I'm afraid that's the way many of us behave, but nothing could be further from the truth when it comes to the behavior of the members of the United States Fire Service. I first picked up on this difference many years ago. It was during the only true disaster that I've been involved with in my career. An entire hotel blew up. Many of you might remember that. Ramsey had about 72 patients in 10 minutes. Some of the most critically injured patients were the firefighters, and there were about 50 of them. The problem was that the firefighters would not allow themselves to be treated until they were convinced that every citizen had been treated. Again, most of the seriously injured patients were firefighters by a ratio of about 4 to 1. This created quite a logjam in the ER, but there was no talking the firefighters out of it. That's when I first recognized that they're simply not wired the way most of us are. It's also when I realized that I wanted to spend the rest of my career working with them. When you think about it, who else but firefighters would relish the opportunity to suddenly be woken up at 2 a.m. in the morning to get up from a warm and toasty bed in order to go out into 10-degree weather and actually want to walk into a burning building when they know that inside the building air temperatures can reach 300 degrees and that sudden death is lurking all around them. This is often after they've been working all day, especially if they have been involved in the EMS aspect of the department. After that, they get to stand around in the cold and the wetness to clean up the mess, and then go back to the station to continue to clean up the mess for the next few hours. They do this all because of the possibility that a fellow citizen might be inside of that house. And they do it because they're simply not wired like we are. Speaking of the firefighters that are involved in EMS, they even have more short circuits. They get to leave the station sometimes 14, 15 times a day in order to have the opportunity to suffer an overall injury and illness rate that is 6 times higher than that of the national average for workers. A 21 times higher rate of lifting injuries, a 22 times higher rate of violence-related injuries, and a 30 times higher rate of transportation-related injuries. And then there's always that possibility of contracting an infectious disease. They also get the opportunity to be yelled at and perhaps even disciplined by a guy like me because they made a mistake. This abnormal behavior, to put up with all of this, is driven by a need to make sure that their neighbor, when their neighbor comes around, they'll be home to help them. So as we congratulate this graduating class, we can only hope for the sake of the citizens of St. Paul that they too are wired differently than many of us. We need you to be wired differently. In fact, we depend on it. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Coleman, Council President Lantry, Chief Butler, Assistant Chief Smith, Dr. Frasconi, Father Conlon, EMS Chief Matt Simpson, honored guests, fellow firefighters, and the graduates of the 2011B St. Paul Fire Academy. A successful firefighter training academy requires a significant team effort. The time investments occurs not only during the actual weeks of the academy, but during months of advanced work building on years of training experience. This 2011B Academy presented our department with a very unique challenge, as our training chief, Tom McDonough, was deployed to the Middle East just 2 weeks after the start of the academy. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Chief McDonough and all of our firefighters on active military deployments for their commitment to our country. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge the sacrifices of their families, especially during the holidays, and what I'm sure is a difficult time for all involved. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Chiefs Butler and Smith for their vote of confidence in me when they entrusted me not only with this academy, but with the training responsibilities for the fire department. It is truly an honor and a privilege, and I hope that I exceed your expectations as acting training chief. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce and thank all of the members of the training division team that worked on this academy. Please stand when I call your name. Training Officer Joe Blank. As I moved into the training chief position, Joe was selected as my second in command. His dedication to high quality training is second to none on this department, and that's one of the reasons why he was awarded the 2011 State Fire Instructor of the Year. Joe joined us about 3 weeks into this academy, coming from the National Fire Academy, and got a little bit of a late start with us. And I tasked him with pretty much all the day-to-day managements of the recruits and the academy staff. Joe absolutely stepped up to the challenge and was instrumental in staying one step ahead of the academy for planning purposes. He continued to manage several other training division initiatives while the academy was underway, and his professionalism, assistance, and support has been invaluable. Thank you, Joe. Training Captain Dan Hendricks. Dan's high professional standards, as well as his military background, were a core component of this academy's success. He's responsible for the overall management of the recruits' physical training program, and this was evident by the birthday card he received from the recruits a couple months in the academy. They obviously appreciated where he set the bar for their physical performance. They drew a picture of an endless set of stairs with stick figures vomiting all over the place. It's quite touching. Dan did run every PT evolution with the recruits, and oftentimes ran evolutions twice over so that the smaller groups could enjoy his company. As a paramedic fire captain, he not only focused on aggressive fire attack, but he also stressed quality paramedic and EMT skills. Most times if there was a minor break in any action, Dan would throw in an EMS situation just to keep everybody on their toes. His high expectations for EMS and fire training and his leadership of this group literally set the pace for the academy. Thank you, Dan. Training Captain Rick Chido. Rick was a good fit for this academy as well. Also a paramedic fire captain, he was able and willing to take on any assignment and filled in many gaps in short notice assignments. While I think a few of you literally started to hate Captain Hendricks during the first couple of weeks of this academy, Rick was running right alongside the group for every evolution. He played the good cop for many times, and I often saw him positively motivating you recruits and keep pushing you forward. His analytic perspective encouraged a lot of positive discussion, and his desire to set the performance bar high kept you to a good standard throughout this whole academy. Thank you, Rick. Training Captain Jerry Dino. Jerry was tasked with another long-range project during much of this academy. However, he still kept tabs on the progress of all involved. As time allowed, Jerry assisted with some of the behind-the-scenes tasks, such as equipment needs, fix-it projects. He'd often run PT with the recruits at the end of his day and was always willing to lend a hand as needed. Thank you, Jerry, for your dedication to the recruits and to this department. Training Assistant Clarence Hawkins. Hawk's our plank owner, is the senior officer at the training division, has been assigned there since 1994. He's the person that knows what every widget is, why something is the way it is, and usually knows where one of us misplaced something. In addition to his knowledge base, Hawk has an infectiously positive attitude. I will qualify that as I often saw Hawk addressing many of you quite directly about something that you were doing wrong. But he has a way of chewing you out so that you feel good about it. Good weather or bad, Hawk was our primary fire equipment operator for most of the fire evolutions and was invaluable as a safety officer at many of the fires, always keeping an eye on the little things that many of us miss. As dirty as we get, as tired as we get, Hawk is usually walking out the door at the end of the day saying, "We'll see you all again tomorrow and do it all over again." Thank you, Hawk. It is just another day in paradise. I had another group of training assistants that would probably go unacknowledged, but I do want to mention their names today. We had some additional staff that were out on work-related injuries. 4 of them stepped up to the challenge, not only with a couple of major projects we had going on at the training division and the 9-person slave labor pool that we had available for them, but they also dug in at many opportunities to help with vehicle extrication, water rescue, basic firefighting skills, things like that. Those individuals were Firefighter Dennis Hall, Firefighter Derek Franz, FEO Tom Jensen, and Captain Dave Berger. Last and certainly not least, our support staff, Amy O'Donnell. You didn't hide in the cake room. Wonderful. Amy works primarily behind the scenes and is at the same time in the center of everything that we do. With Chief McDonough's departure, Amy was instrumental in making sure that we were dotting the I's and crossing the T's on the myriad of paperwork that follows these academies. From putting the academy manuals together at the start of the journey to coordinating every detail of this graduation ceremony and everything in between, Amy, thank you for a job well done. I'd also be remiss, in addition to the recruits' families, if I didn't offer a thank you to all the families of the staff who dealt with a lot of changing schedules, late days, and the focus needs of the Recruit Academy. So for all of our families, thank you very much. Thank the entire St. Paul Fire Department family, and bear with me. From Chief Butler and Chief Smith to the entire administrative team, John Swanson, Steve Zachard, Terry Haltner, Cindy Mentes, Josette Bradley, Denise Harris, Jill Lacasse, Molly Tao, Sherry Huffman, Paula Petersen, Elizabeth Larkin, and the rest of the administrative team. Thank you for your help during every step of this academy. Deputy Chief Skalbra Sinitra, recently retired Chief Mueller and his newly appointed replacement Chief Beslin, EMS Chief Matt Simpson, and EMS Coordinator Bob Pitts, and all the district chiefs who frequently stop by to say hello and check on the recruits' progress. All of these chief officers also helped us coordinate with the fire and medic companies who came out to work on different training evolutions during the days and even a few nights. All the while keeping a watchful eye on the city staffing and the fire companies to make sure we had adequate emergency response coverage. So to all of our administrative and operations staff, thank you very much. To all the fire companies, and there were a lot of them, we had a lot of them begging us to come out, and I'm sure we didn't get everybody that asked to come. We tried. They worked with the recruits, they ran PT evolutions with the recruits, and a lot of companies were left in service while they were out at the training division, and they covered additional call volumes. Your involvement is key to our combined success, and it is appreciated. For the many firefighters who came out on their off-duty time to run PT with the recruits, to the specialty instructors we brought out, to the fire captains, FEOs, and the seasoned firefighters who were always more than willing to step up, teach, pass on lessons learned, and lend credibility to our learning plans, thank you. The last list. In addition to those already mentioned, it's important to acknowledge that the Recruit Academy is a community-wide endeavor. In the spirit of brevity, I'm going to thank contributors in general terms from every office of the fire administration not already mentioned, to the suppression and EMS staff of all ranks, building maintenance, equipment services, fire prevention, building inspections, human resources, risk management, planning and economic development, the Ramsey County Dispatch Center, the St. Paul Police Department, and especially their bomb squad, Regions Hospital, Health Partners, Para, Veterans Affairs, City and County Credit Union, the Rock 10 Corporation, Flint Hills Refinery, Pine Bend, XL Energy, numerous fire service equipment vendors, the International Association of Firefighters, FEMA and the Safer Grant programs, and probably any others that I may be forgetting. Thank you very much for your assistance and contributions to this academy. Most importantly for the recruits, out of that entire list I just rambled off, they all invested time in the 9 of you. Appreciate that. They dedicated time and service to you so that you can pay service back to the community. Remember that. New traditions. Fire service in general and the St. Paul Fire Department in particular have many long-standing traditions. Every once in a while we come up with an idea, though, that has the potential to be a new tradition. After the last 2011 A Academy class, which many of us were involved in, we came across an idea that has the potential to become one of those new traditions. Several of us involved discussed a process to identify and acknowledge class leaders. At the start of this 2011 B class, we committed to this goal. We do want to acknowledge all the accomplishments of the numerous previous academies and the unsung leaders of those groups. And it's unfortunate that we didn't start something like this 100 years ago. That being said, you have to start somewhere, and we decided that 100 years from now, if we can keep this up, we know we'll have a large plaque of class leaders on the wall at the training division, recognizing their pace-setting leadership abilities and acknowledging their contribution to their academy classes. The training staff came up with a plan to grade the recruits through 3 criteria: academic grades, physical test times, and a peer review process, where each member of the class ranked all members of their class in consideration of test scores, leadership, integrity, and character. As we analyzed all the criteria at the end of the academy, it was very close competition between several of the individuals in the class. One individual did clearly come out on top of the scoring. With an average of 94% on his academic grades, test times that literally shattered several physical test scores as far back as we could find records for, and the #1 choice on the majority of the peer reviews, we'd like to acknowledge Joshua Shores as the 2011 B class leader.
Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join us on our graduation ceremony. The past 4 months have been building up to this moment where our class, 2011-B, can finally call ourselves St. Paul Firefighters. We all feel very fortunate to have had the support of our families, firefighters, instructors, and each other to assist us in completing the 15-week academy. For that support, we thank you. Though you're currently serving overseas, Chief McDonough, your selfless dedication and service to the city of St. Paul and our country is not overlooked. You weren't able to be present for a majority of our academy, and the fact that you took the time to instruct us just days prior to your deployment shows an unwavering commitment to the job and the city of St. Paul. Thank you for your service and choice of instructor staff. To our instructor staff, your experience and knowledge has given us the backbone that we need to support the growth of our career as firefighters and to prove to the citizens of St. Paul that we are ready to help them on what may be their worst day. Chief Gilliam, your stringent training schedule and emphasis on firefighter safety and survival will prove to be an invaluable resource to our success as firefighters and future leaders of St. Paul Fire Department. Though we likely didn't want to acknowledge it while our muscles ached and minds seemed too full at times, we thank you for the rigorous training. Captains Blank, Chido, Hendricks, Dino, and Training Assistant Hawkins, were it not for you, Chief Gilliam's plan would have never been executed to its full potential. The first day of training, I, along with many others in the academy, questioned our ability to be St. Paul firefighters. I left that first Monday trembling, wonder if I was going to be able to drive home, not due to fear or doubt, but due to exhaustion. I thought I was physically ready for the academy, but having never worked out in full turnouts, I was blindsided by the physical demand of the job. One of my peers in the class asked me how this compared to my past Marine Corps training, and to be honest, being in full turnouts and going up and down the 6 flights of stairs 10 to 12 times with 25 push-ups at the top every time was some of the most physically demanding physical training I've ever done. You have shown us that we can push through anything, especially with the support of each other. Your constructive criticism of our actions and input for what it's like on the streets will allow for a smooth transition. We thank you for your dedication to our training and well-being. To the crews from the streets that came out to assist us with training evolutions in between runs and in the middle of the night, we thank you. It was a great experience to work with actual crews to accomplish this mission and allowed for a better understanding of what it'll be like on the streets. We look forward to working alongside you in the days to come. To the mayor and council members of the city of St. Paul, we thank you for allowing us the opportunity to serve your city. The dream of ours to become firefighters in a city that we love, and the long road to this goal will never be forgotten. For some of us, we will be carrying on a family legacy within the department. For many of us, we will be beginning one. Regardless of the reasons behind our decision to serve the citizens of St. Paul as firefighters, we can promise that we will continue to broaden our knowledge base and do everything within our power to care for the citizens of this city. Thank you again for this great opportunity, and have a safe holiday season.
Class of 2011B. As I mentioned earlier, you are entering into a profession filled with symbolic traditions, some being centuries old. And I heard this next bit of the speech at my graduation and every graduation since then. At first, it didn't mean as much to me, but as you hear it time and time again, it starts to build a lot of symbolism in your own life. One of the traditions is the Maltese Cross. During the Crusades, a band from the island of Malta, known as the Knights of St. John, gained a reputation for courage in battle. While attacking the walls of a city, their enemies would hurl glass containers of naphtha at them. After being saturated in the flammable liquid, flaming torches would be hurled in their midst, causing hundreds of the knights to be burned alive. Others risked their lives to save their brothers in arms from dying painful, fiery deaths. Their heroic efforts were recognized by fellow crusaders who awarded each with a badge of honor, a Maltese Cross similar to the one that you now wear on your left shoulder for the first time today. The badge that you're about to receive is also full of symbolism. Perched on top of the badge is a mythical sacred bird called the phoenix. It's a symbol of eternal life, a life that is destroyed by fire and then reborn. The continuous rope and chain around the badge symbolizes unbroken service and loyalty. The torch indicates your willingness to risk your life in response to other people in need. In ancient heraldry, warriors wore a symbol of the weapon they were an expert in. When that weapon was crossed, it meant that the warrior had used it in battle. On your badge is the cross tools of a firefighter, which you have demonstrated proficiency in. This badge is not just a piece of metal. It's a symbol that carries an obligation to protect and save those in need. There's no nobler an obligation. Class of 2011B, prepare for the presentation ceremony.
Michael Childs.
Aron Duren.
Chad Haverly.
Thomas Hernandez.
Wendell Hougland.
Sara Petersen.
Megan Roesler.
Joshua Shores.
Eric Torgerson.
Class of 2011B, search your heart and conscience and prepare to take the Firefighter's Oath. This oath is a sacred pledge that binds you to a life of service in the public. As you take this oath, know that it reflects a willingness to step forward and serve, hallmark traits of the American Fire Service since the inception of our country. Firefighters and police officers constantly live with the fact that the ultimate sacrifice of their life might be the price they pay for their willingness to serve. Are you ready? Then raise your right hand and repeat after me. And I ask all firefighters in the audience, I invite all firefighters in the audience to also rise and renew their oath as well. I state your name. I solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
Solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
That of the state of Minnesota.
That of the state of Minnesota.
All ordinance of the city of St. Paul.
All ordinance of the city of St. Paul.
And the rules and regulations of this department.
And the rules and regulations of this department.
I will strive to maintain a spirit of teamwork and cooperation with all personnel.
I will strive to maintain a spirit of teamwork and cooperation with all personnel.
I will seek to give only the highest example.
I will seek to give only the highest example
of honesty, integrity, and good citizenship.
Of honesty, integrity, and good citizenship.
I understand that my behavior on and off duty.
I understand that my behavior on and off duty
affects the reputation of all firefighters.
Affects the reputation of all firefighters.
I will at all times uphold the highest standard.
I will at all times uphold the highest standard
of a professional firefighter.
Of a professional firefighter.
And the proud traditions of the St. Paul Fire Department.
And the proud traditions of the St. Paul Fire Department.
You've heard 12, 13, 14 weeks. For the record, it was actually the past 15 weeks due to some holidays, but it has been a long road for you. Especially today, we've talked a lot about traditions and history. We've also talked a lot about your future and the future of the fire service, where we've been and where we're going. And I'm very excited for your class, considering where you have been and where you are going. You started this academy on September 12, 2011. A day after the 10-year anniversary of tragic events that changed the fire service forever. How does that history affect you? You were hired thanks to a grant that was developed during the aftermath of those events. You're joining our department during difficult financial times, but difficulties will often lead to unforeseen opportunities. You're joining a fire service that is experiencing exponential change. Good change, like new technology that is allowing us to respond and work smarter, faster, safer. Bad changes like modern building construction, materials that are burning hotter and collapsing faster. You'll now be called a firefighter, but you've joined an organization that is providing an all-hazards response. Structure fires, emergency medical responses, vehicle extrications, water rescue, hazmat, CBRN, NIMS, technical rescue, collapse rescue, rapid intervention teams, wide area searches, mass casualty incidents, just to name a few. Appreciate that you will spend the rest of your careers training for an ever-broadening mission. Over the action-packed 15 weeks, we've given you a solid foundation built up by generations before you. I appreciate that each of you here today has dedicated far more time than the 40 hours per week you've been compensated for. Late night studying, extra workouts, healing. You've learned a lot about our history, our policies, our procedures. You've been drilled very hard on physical performance. You've been pushed up to and beyond your physical and mental limits. By my rough calculations on the academy schedule, you've run over 1,100 flights of stairs, or 16,800 steps if you want to count. You fought fires during the day and more fires during a few very long nights. You've cut apart cars and disintegrated rooftops. You've ascended 100-foot ladders and dove into water rescues. You've driven fire trucks on a skid track. You've rang bells for the Salvation Army. You squeeze through openings that appear half the size of your body and have learned to defeat many physical obstacles that we place before you. You've been blindfolded and drilled enough on your personal protective equipment that has become a part of you. You've learned a lot about everything from the necessity of shower shoes to the dangers of hydrogen cyanide in the smoke. You've been tested, retested, and tested some more, and that's all for a good reason. On your first day of class, you heard about the line of duty death of a firefighter who died last year due to events that occurred at a residential structure fire. The official report on that line of duty fatality indicated that the firefighter had not been properly trained and that he did not possess the basic survival skills necessary to deal with the situation that he encountered. You're told that you would have those skills ingrained in you if you were going to pass this academy. Most recently, exactly 2 weeks ago today in Worcester, Massachusetts, I talked to you about learning of a firefighter whose air management skills, like the ones we taught you, saved his life. 2 of his crew went left, 2 of his crew went right. From what I'm hearing, they did everything right, but the 2 that went right went through a collapsing floor. The first firefighter was killed, they believe, of positional asphyxiation. Things happen. The other firefighter spent more than an hour in the collapsed structure, rescue breathing, doing what we've taught you to do, waiting for the RIT team to get to him. Closer to home, one of our firefighters from the last 2011A Academy that had ended in just May of this year has already been involved in 2 firefighter Mayday situations over the past 7 months. One in which he personally declared a Mayday for his partner whose mask had been ripped off his face. Both situations were fortunately resolved to a positive conclusion, and I take great pride in knowing that we trained him for that possibility and that he instinctively recognized the problem and dealt with it effectively. I know that you've proven your mastery of those same skills, and I hope that you'll continue to hone those skills and raise the bar of your own expectations for yourself in case the challenge ever arises. So where do you go from here, besides the cake and coffee down the hall? While you learn to respect the past and at the same time look towards the future, I ask that you continuously educate yourself in the now. Read, listen, watch, think, ask, learn, practice. Pass it on to those that are someday going to replace you. Most importantly, remember where you are right now today. And I've talked to you guys a lot about this. Remember how you earned this career. Remember that this is the greatest job in the world, and remind yourself of this in the future when you start to get mired down in the distractions, that frustrate us all from time to time. Appreciate that you now have a career where you have the opportunity to positively affect the outcome of somebody else's worst day. Do these things and it will be a career well invested. Thank you. Recruits, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the St. Paul Fire Department class of 2011B.